Hey, welcome. I'm Clampion. I've started this channel just to talk about things I've noticed and different topics I think about. No big structure or anything, just simple discussions you can have on in the background while you do other stuff. And so I've been thinking about making videos like this for a while. Nothing super serious, nothing where I'm pretending to be some expert, just talking about random stuff I've seen online and that gets stuck in my head. And one thing I've been seeing absolutely everywhere lately is the black pill. I swear you can't scroll for more than 5 minutes without seeing some guy explaining why his life is over because he's not 6'3", or because his jawline isn't sharp enough, or because his eyes are apparently facing the wrong direction. And at first I thought most of it was jokes, like there's no way people actually take this stuff seriously. But the more I saw it, the more I realized a lot of people genuinely believe it. And honestly, I think it's one of the worst mindsets a teenager or a younger person can fall into. The weird thing is that this wasn't always everywhere. A few years ago, most people didn't even know half these terms meant. Now you hear some random teens, boys, girls, or even girls. They're talking about canthal tilts, facial harmony, hunter eyes, positive tilts, negative tilts, and 100 other things that sound like they came from a biology textbook. And somehow that became normal. People are out here analyzing faces like they're scouting NBA prospects. I've seen people spend hours comparing photos of themselves, zooming onto their nose, their jaw, their eyes, looking for flaws that nobody else would ever notice. And honestly, I think social media played a massive role into making this happen. The thing is, I don't think most people intentionally become blackpilled. Nobody wakes up one day and decides, yeah, I'd like to spend the next 6 months convincing myself my future is doomed because of how I looked. Usually it starts with something completely normal. Maybe somebody gets rejected, maybe they're insecure, maybe they're lonely, maybe they don't even have many friends. Stuff that basically everybody goes on through at some point. Then they start looking for answers, and that's where the algorithm steps in, because the internet always has the answer. Whether they're good answers or not is a different story. You watch one video, then another, and eventually your entire feed becomes an endless stream of people explaining why your life is over, why dating is impossible, why self-improvement doesn't work, why genetics decide everything, why you're supposedly doomed from birth. And after hearing the same thing hundreds of times, some people start believing it. And honestly, part of the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I've seen what this mindset does to people. I've known people who got really deep into this kind of content, and after a while it felt like every conversation came back to the same thing. You have problems with dating, it's because of genetics. You have confidence problems, maybe you're unconfident, it's because of your genetics. You have bad experiences with people or trying to get a girlfriend or boyfriend, it's because of about genetics. Everything always has the same answer, and eventually it stopped sounding like people looking for solutions. It started sounding like people looking for reasons to give up, because that's what really happens when you're constantly consuming content that tells you the outcome is already decided, and after a while you stop trying to change anything. Now, to be fair, part of the reason black pill content became so popular is because it isn't completely wrong. And I think pretending otherwise is stupid. Looks do matter. Most people know that. Attractive people usually get more attention. They make better first impressions. People often treat them differently. None of that is some shocking discovery. The problem is what happens next, because black pill content takes one observation and stretches it as far as humanly possible. Looks go from being important to being the only thing that matters. And that's where everything starts to fall apart. Because suddenly every problem has the exact same explanation. You got rejected because you look ugly. You feel lonely, you would have more friends if you were attractive. And there are a lot more examples, but everything after a while becomes about attractiveness. Everything becomes about fate. Everything becomes predetermined. And once you start thinking like that, improvement starts feeling pointless. Why go to the gym? Why learn social skills? Why meet new people? Why take risks? If you're already convinced yourself that the outcome is fixed, you've basically lost before you even started. And that's probably the part that bothers me the most. Now, the appearance stuff is the hopelessness, because that's really what the black pill sells. It sells hopelessness. It convinces people that effort doesn't matter, and that's such a terrible thing to tell teenagers, which is the group that's most affected by this kind of content, especially because teenagers are still figuring themselves out. Most people at 15 have no idea who they're going to become. Most people at 16 don't know what they're doing. Most people at 17 are still trying to figure out life. That's normal. Imagine deciding your entire future is over before you even finish school. It's crazy when you think about it. Another thing I've noticed is how negative online spaces have become in general. Everything has to be extreme now. Nobody clicks on a video called "Looks Matter Sometimes." That's boring. People click on "It's over," the harsher truth nobody will tell you, The more dramatic something sounds, the more views it gets. And eventually people start confusing engagement with truth. Just because something gets millions of views doesn't mean it's correct, it just means it got attention. And negativity gets attention incredibly easily. I think that's one of the biggest problems with modern social media in general. Not even just blackpill content. Everything is built around keeping you watching. And the easiest way to keep someone watching is to make them emotional. Whether it be angry, upset, scared, insecure, those emotions keep people engaged. So naturally, those are the kinds of videos that spread. A balanced opinion usually doesn't go viral. A crazy opinion does. And that's why so much content online feels extreme nowadays. The weirdest part is how young some of the people consuming this stuff are. I've seen people who are 15 years old talking like they've already experienced everything life has to offer. Talking like they've already failed, talking like they have already missed every opportunity they'll ever have, and I genuinely don't understand it. When I was that age, I was worried about completely different things. Most people are. Your life changes so much between your teenage years and your 20s that making those kinds of conclusions makes no sense. You haven't met all the people you're going to meet. You haven't had all the opportunities you're going to get. You haven't become the person you're going to become. Yet some people act like the story is already finished. And honestly, I think that's why I dislike the black pill so much. Not because it talks about appearance, not because it points out that life isn't perfectly fair. It isn't, and it will never be. Most people already know that life isn't fair because of the mindset that comes with it. Because once somebody starts believing that nothing they do matters, they stop trying. They stop improving. They stop taking risks. They stop putting themselves out there. They start looking for proof that they're doomed instead. Every rejection becomes evidence. Every bad experience becomes evidence. Every setback becomes evidence. And eventually the mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people would be better off spending less time analyzing every tiny flaw they think they have, and more time actually living their lives. Go outside, please. For the love of God, go outside. You should learn something, you should meet new people, you should get a hobby. Work on yourself if that's what you want to do. But convincing yourself that your future was decided before you've even had a chance to live is probably one of the worst things you can do. And that's why I think the black pill has done way more harm than good for a lot of teenagers. And anyway, that's just what I've been thinking about lately. Thank you for watching.